Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I'm really happy to announce the start of a new series on my channel called Generation Gap. So basically in this series we're going to have 6 people come together to discuss different book series, TV shows, movies, just anything in geeky fandom pop culture. And how it's going to work is that the participants are of different ages between the age of 10 to 40. And the aim of the series is to see whether our opinions change depending on the age that we are. So it's a really fun kind of experiment also along with the series, and I'm really excited to get this started. The first episode is going to be about the Harry Potter book series, which all of you know is one of my absolute favorite book series ever. So how the episode is going to be structured is that the 6 participants will get an opinion statement about the Harry Potter books. And they have to say whether they agree with the opinion or they disagree with the opinion using this scale. So basically, they have to say whether they completely agree, somewhat agree, neither agree nor disagree, somewhat disagree, or completely disagree. So after they put up whether they agree or disagree with the statement, there will be a discussion based on the differing opinions. The other really cool thing about this series is that the participants who are going to be there in every episode will be you guys. So I'm going to give a chance to my subscribers, that is you guys from our community, to come and participate in this series in the different episodes. So please stay tuned to my community tab because that is where you will find all the information of how you can participate in these episodes. So yeah, with that said, let's just get started with this video. A spoiler warning for everyone who has not read the Harry Potter books because we discuss everything. We're discussing full-blown spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't read the Harry Potter books, then I suggest you click away and only come and watch this episode once you've read the books because we've discussed it all. So yep, with that said, let's just jump into the episode and see who our participants are.
Hi, I'm Rajanya and I'm 12 years old.
Hello everyone, my name is Ankita Chaudhary and I am 17 years old.
Hi, I'm Purva and I'm 20 years old.
Hi, I'm Saloni. I'm 24 years old.
Hi, I'm Shruti and I'm 31 years old.
Hi, I'm Shivani and I'm 35.
Okay. Oh, I want to know what Shibani and Rajanya have to say.
I hate Hermione and Ron together. I just hate it. They fight so much. How can they be a couple? Like, how?
It's such a force fit. It just feels like she didn't want to do what would look like the obvious pairing. Because it is an obvious pairing. Come on. Like,
It is.
Yeah. And I mean, I would have been okay if she landed up with somebody else entirely, like not even either Harry or Ron. But Ron, I mean, I love Ron. I really, really, truly do. I see no chemistry whatsoever, right, with these guys. Like nothing. On that note, I also see zero chemistry between like Ginny and Harry. I'm like, please, yeah, what is this like forced fit? Like, in the family, let's marry everybody off. Like, come on, just stop it.
First of all, I don't know why Hermione needed to end up with either of them. Like, she could have chosen anybody.
Yes.
And if we talk in real life, Hermione and Harry would not have so many problems. They would not argue. But in fantasy, I would want a little bit dramatic things. And Ron and Hermione, I feel they are like different attracts. So I go with that.
I actually love that friendship aspect of them. I actually love Harry and Hermione's relation. It's so beautifully depicted. So I like their relationship and I can resonate with it, with that kind of a relationship. But why Ron? Hermione could get someone better and I strongly feel there should be no couples among this trio.
The only problem for me, why it's not completely and only somewhat for me, is because I did not like the build-up. So, for example, you see their relationship kind of getting together in Half-Blood Prince, and then finally culminating in Deathly Hallows. But I think that the build-up should have started a little earlier than that. Probably the fourth book or somewhere, where it would have been a little more direct that, okay, there might be something happening here. I mean, it was too abrupt for me to kind of it was just given to me ki, okay, they're gonna be together, or you have to deal with that.
For me also, it's not completely disagree, but I do like Ron and Hermione together. And I think, okay, so she didn't do it very evidently, but there were hints in Goblet of Fire that they like each other.
Yeah.
There were hints, and yeah, I mean, it becomes very obvious. Yeah, it becomes very obvious in Half-Blood Prince that they have feelings for each other. But from Goblet of Fire, there are like some hints here and there that maybe it's more than friendship, but there was no conviction or like no reason given as to why they like each other. Like there was yeah,
exactly.
Wow.
First of all, he was in love with Lily. That was a little bit creepy. Like, you told her a mudblood was really bad word to say, and then he expects Lily to be kind to him and everything. And just because you love Lily doesn't give you a valid reason to bully the students. As a teacher, you shouldn't do it. And we see that Neville's greatest fear was Snape himself. And Neville was not doing well in his classes because of teachers only, mostly Snape. But we see in DA he improved a lot because he was not being bullied by any teacher.
Yeah, I get that he is very brave for being a double agent and lying to Voldemort and all that. But he was mean to Harry just because Harry's father was mean to him. Harry had nothing to do with that. And this kid is going to die in 7 years. Like, Snape didn't knew it completely, but he knew it on some level that Harry might die. And you are making his life that bad. And nobody's worst fear should be a teacher.
I completely agree with everything you both said. Those are exactly my thoughts.
Just because something bad happened to you doesn't mean that's an excuse to be shitty to somebody else. So 100% agree on that. But I do believe that he had some time to kind of recover from whatever James might have done to him. But like seeing Harry again and having him to be a Xerox copy of James, I'm sure could not have been super easy also. So I understand where all the bitterness comes from, but I also understand that you should be mature enough to kind of handle it much better than how you did.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why I somewhat agree and not completely agree, because I can see what Snape went through right from his childhood. We have seen Snape's past as well. So I know what he went through, and that is why I understand the anger and the frustration and all. But you don't do that on the kids. You don't remove your anger on innocent kids who have not done anything. And he was not just a bully to Harry. He was a bully to everyone who is not in Slytherin.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's the most flawed, layered character, the realest character we have in the series. You know, like a lot of these fantasy novels have like the protagonist being the best ever, like could do no wrong and all of that. Like, and I'm sorry, but like that's just not true. You can't be the best, you can't be the coolest, you can't be it's the minute you turn a character to that, like it just really pisses me off. And I agree with all of you guys. He should have, I mean, I think he was probably older, like in his mid-30s or maybe even late 40s. Like, yeah, like get your shit together, you know, like stop bullying young kids. But he also brought like the flavor. He made the story interesting. Yeah. You wanted to know what, you know, Snape was going to do next. I feel like that was one of the nicer characters that she wrote, like that had depth, that had layers. I love the fact that the history, right? I love the fact that like James used to be a bully, that he's not so clean and doodh ka dhula hua, right?
Yes.
Like, I love that history, and I love that like he also liked Lily and all of that. Like, I just feel like the reason I completely disagree is that if you had to take Snape out of this series, it would be really bland. And like, you know, like he brings the tadka into the dal. Like,
Yeah.
I somewhat disagree with this because I agree that the beginning, especially the middle of the book, is kind of draggy and long. But in the end, the ending of Order of the Phoenix is probably the most important ending of all of the books. The conversation between Dumbledore and Harry is the most important Dumbledore scene in the whole series. And after Sirius dies, Harry throws stuff and all that happens. People hate that, but I kind of like it. I don't know why.
So, like when I was in school and when I was reading Goblet of Fire and when I left it midway, and when I read Order of Phoenix right now, I'm actually glad that I did not read it at that time because I would not have appreciated it the way I appreciated it right now. And also because at that point I did not understand grey characters, or I did not understand the concept of my heroes not being the best.
Yes.
Not acting like in the best possible way. So for me, Order of Phoenix definitely worked only because I read it at the age that I did, and I would not have understood or appreciated J.K. Rowling's work in it had I read it at an earlier age. Which I mean, kudos to Rajanya for still understanding.
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Let's start with the completely disagrees.
Not for Dumbledore. I mean, Dumbledore was in a way a good mentor for Harry. I can understand that he didn't tell so many things to him, and that point is actually highlighted in the book as well. But I agree with Dumbledore. Like, how much are you going to burden a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old with such, all these traumas, these dark forces and everything? And the way he planned everything in Half-Blood Prince, like showing one memory at a time and then slowly decoding the entire Horcrux part. I love that actually, and that is what a good mentor would do.
Okay, so I have a controversial opinion about this because I don't think that Dumbledore was the best mentor for Harry. I thought that he was extremely manipulative and that I understand in Philosopher's Stone, him not wanting to tell an 11-year-old anything. I understand in Chamber of Secrets, fine. But like after that point, especially in like Order of the Phoenix, the way he isolated Harry and didn't say anything, fine, it was explained about whatever, that Voldemort was looking into Harry's thoughts and this, but like as a 15-year-old, if you're like actually basically gearing him up to die because the prophecy is that Voldemort has to kill him. Yeah, has to kill him, whatever. Then I don't know. You could have been more supportive. And you could have also explained the whole thing about the Horcrux inside Harry. Like, I mean, why keep that a secret? Again, I feel like it's just a plot convenience that, oh wow, it's like a shock at the end.
It's actually,
a shock at
like
the end.
It's a fantasy. I feel like it's a fantasy trope, by the way.
Yeah.
This is something that they do in a lot of fantasy where they just don't want to. They want to reserve the secret for like the end, so they will reveal it. Like, I mean, he could. I mean, I disagree and agreed because like I love them so much that I cannot like fully agree. But I can't disagree also because of all of the things you said, Shruti, which is like, it feels too convenient that you didn't tell me till the end. I mean, it's one thing if you say, I also didn't know about everything. That's why I didn't tell you. But like, I knew and I never told you and I should have. And like, you should have prepared him more to defend himself. You should have prepared him more to fight. You should have, there's so much prep that you could have given this kid because you knew where this was going to end.
Exactly.
And you didn't prep him. He just went to regular classes with regular kids. I'm like, that's great. But you should be giving him extra classes to like tell him like the history of stuff. Teach him you know, like this house, that house, like they came together, this what happened, like just extra stuff, background, context. something.
If we talk about Dumbledore, the positive thing was he did not told Harry how to defeat Voldemort, but he made him understand why he went dark, like why he, from Tom Riddle, he became Lord Voldemort. But the negative thing was that he didn't trusted a lot of people, like Dumbledore, and he made Harry. He told Harry that don't trust anyone rather than Hermione and Ron. If Harry had told anyone of the Horcrux, he might have not, had so many obstacles. Like when he was searching in the Hogwarts, if he had just told McGonagall what he was searching for, she could have helped him. That is why at last, when he told Neville about Nagini, that is why Nagini was killed by Neville. So
Yeah.
Dumbledore made him like don't trust anyone, but he could have made it so easy if it just trusted.
The best mentor I thought that Harry had was Lupin, which is why also
Yeah,
it's like a
same.
somewhat. He's the best mentor that Harry had, I felt. With
100%.
Sirius, I felt that somewhat he was projecting James. Like he was trying to fill James's void with Harry, which is not what you do with like someone you consider your godson or like your son, that you're trying to fill in your best friend's shoes with him.
There was one scene where Sirius tells Harry ki James would have not been so scared, he would have come out or something like that.
He keeps comparing the two.
Yeah. So that I think is not done. I mean, where Harry hasn't even met his father really, he doesn't even have any memory of him. To constantly compare is not nice.
So I feel like the biggest flaw with Harry Potter, there is no magic system. There are no rules in this. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like if your pants tear, like for example, if your pants tear, why aren't you fixing it with your wand? Like just why do you not have a spell for it? But you have a spell for something else. Like you know, there's just no logic. And things just appear. Like if you can create food, why can you not fix something? Like you know what I'm saying? There's just no logic at all.
Yeah.
But here's what I say. I say that is what makes the story amazing. You don't know what's going to pop out at you. Because anything can happen. And that's why it keeps us just like, what's going to happen now? Because there's just no rules to it, right? And I feel like to be able to write that, knowing that, hey, there should be some rules. There should be a magic system in which this world exists or whatever, and she's flouted that, and she said no, I'll just make, because it's a very obvious, I mean, as a writer, when it's a thing that she probably thought, but she said it doesn't matter, I'm just going to write it anyway. Like goblins can come, dementors can do stuff, like it does not matter, like anything can happen in this world. There are no rules, and the only rules are my rules. And I feel like if a writer has that kind of confidence in the way she tells her story, then it's great.
One thing which I would first give as a disclaimer is I haven't read a lot of fantasy. It's just my beginning in fantasy. I'm exploring more. So I haven't read a lot of magic systems yet. But I like... there are parts where the logic is used by convenience, everything. But what I like about the series is the way it foreshadows our problems, Muggle problems, in a way. Like the one which I remember right now is Dementors being a state of depression, and I know that eating a chocolate actually makes you feel better. So yeah, I have experienced that, and I like these small things which J.K. Rowling has written. We can relate to those things. And she just said that there are some creatures out there which make you feel depressed, but you cannot see it. And I like to think it in that way, actually.
I agree with what Shibani and Purva both said. I really love Harry Potter a lot, and I think that they are great books, and they're exactly what you said, Shibani, that the storytelling is immaculate in the books. But the reason why I'm in the middle is because I can't not think about all the flaws that are there. which is mainly in the world building aspect of the book. Like the characters are great, the story is amazing, but just the world that she's built, I feel, is more of escapism than actually good writing or literature. And it's just that, everyone wants a world that's full of magic. And if I critically look at it, that's not great writing.
But I also understand that these books were not written for adult people. It was not written as adult fantasy. It was written for kids. You know, if you see the first book, it's so kiddish because, all those, like to reach the Philosopher's Stone, the traps that are set up by all these professors are so easy. But of course, they're going to be easy because they're for the kids. You would read an Enid Blyton book, of course, you would want your kid characters to win. So, your young readers are obviously like looking up to things, okay, we can also do something. So, I understand that the books actually started like that. And because of the, whatever reasons Rowling had to then diversify it into for a young adult audience was very different. So I think because of that, because it was started as a kid's book and then kind of reached another level, is why we see the difference of, plot holes and all of those kind of things, or the world building, as you mentioned.
I agree with everything everyone told. That's why I'm in the middle too. But then that one thing that does not apply to me is nostalgia, because I read it 2 years ago. I started it 2 years ago and then I finished it a year ago. So nostalgia does not apply.
Isn't it so cool that adults all over the world are reading it? They see that it's illogical and they still love it. And it's like despite, like it's basically, it's not just despite, it's because it's illogical. Like there's a sense of wonder in not knowing like what anything's going to happen. Like you have no clue why something's happening or why something's not happening. It just happens. And like there's a sense of wonder to it. And I feel like as a writer, right, like how cool is that to like create a world thing? I know it doesn't make sense. It's okay. Now go have fun. Like I just think that we still love it, right? And there have been books, like I've read enough in the fantasy genre to like have this illogical or bad world building to just be really pissed off and just, so that happened too. But she has gone all out. She has stuck to it. It's like there is no logic at all. Okay, now bye. It's not like there's little bit logic here, but there's no, like there is just no logic. That's it.
Exactly.
It ended in the 7th book and it's fine. I'm not counting the Cursed Child because that's just crap. So it ended in the 7th book and then it's been a long time there hasn't been a Harry Potter book, and I'm okay with that, but it would be kind of cool to like have more Harry Potter because it's just so great. I love it so much. It would be pretty great to have more of it.
I think there shouldn't be like a spin-off for either the Marauders or the Hogwarts Founders can be a great one. But for Harry Potter, I think no, just don't.
Just like Ankita, even I have used this statement as per convenience because I really want a series on Marauders. I would enjoy it, I know. And like we just have some glimpses of it from Prisoner of Azkaban. But a proper series when they went to Hogwarts and everything, Snape, Lily, everything there, it would be great. But no more Harry Potter books. Harry Potter is like complete in itself, and no Harry Potter books. I would like Marauders, but nothing on Harry Potter anymore.
Or like those schools, right? I'm sorry if I keep forgetting what those two schools are. The
Durmstrang and Beauxbaton.
I would love to see their world. Like I would have loved to see what an otherworld idea of like magic is and how are they fighting. Because we're only seeing the same 10 guys fighting Voldemort, right? I'm sure like I keep wondering, outside of London, Voldemort, I'm sure is a threat. He's not just a London threat. So like it would be nice to see, or like even any of the other characters, right? Like I would love to know like what was Dumbledore's childhood like, and like stuff like that would be great. but I don't want any more. Like, I think Ron and Hermione and Harry are done. Like, they have told their stories. I am pretty sure that there's going to be nothing more interesting left to say, especially as they get older. And I certainly don't want to see like that pairing that has happened. Meko nahi chahiye. I don't want to see any of y'all come and tell me how your like romance is going, because I won't believe it. You have bad romance. No.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I don't want anything to do with Hogwarts anymore. Like, I don't even want Marauders. At one point I did, but like exactly what you said, Shibani, I want to explore more. Like, okay, what is the wizarding world like in France with Beauxbatons? What is the wizarding world like somewhere else? Oh, if there was a wizarding world in India, like I want to see that.
Yes, they should definitely make that. That would be amazing.
Oh my god.
Like that, I want to know what the wizarding world like is outside of Hogwarts and UK and those characters that we have seen. Like, no more of that. Expand the wizarding world for sure. But like, let's move beyond Voldemort. Like, I don't want Voldemort. I don't even want the Fantastic Beasts one. Like, I'm done with Grindelwald and Dumbledore. Like, ho gaya abhi bas. Nahi chahiye.
I read The Cursed Child. Oh my god, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was too bad. And then I had seen Fantastic Beasts a long time back when it had come out. But after reading the books again, I wanted to see it. And I was watching it, theek hai, ho gaya, New World and everything. And from the books, because I'd only seen the movies earlier, from the books, I think Dumbledore's story was very interesting, and even Tom Riddle's past was very interesting. So I was really interested in Grindelwald and all that. It did come out in The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of that movie and I was done. I was like, मुझसे नहीं देखा जा रहा है, it's bad. And now, even though I'm curious about Grindelwald, I don't think that they should attempt it, because they're not doing it justice. That's all. They're not doing it justice. Bas khatam abhi.
Yeah, exactly. Just leave the UK.
It's not the way we expected. I mean, they have built a curiosity in that Dumbledore and Grindelwald part in the last book.
Yeah.
But the movies, like, they just don't match. It's something else. It's something different.
It doesn't, because when Umbridge is inspecting all the teachers, and she goes to McGonagall and she asks since how long have you been teaching, and it's 26 or something years. And in Crimes of Grindelwald, we see McGonagall again, and it doesn't match the timeline. So I mean, all those things, because it's bound to happen, so just leave it.
You're bound to create more plot holes for yourself. If you go back to the past and try to retcon stuff and try to like make things canon, you're just going to open up a can of worms for yourself. So leave UK.
Here's a controversial opinion. If there was a spin-off, and if there was like an India Hogwarts equivalent or like a France or whatever, I still want it to be just as logicless. I think that's like what I like the most about it, because there's a sense of discovery, right? You don't know what she's going to throw at you. Like, there's suddenly like these creatures with whatever, something happened, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, they're doing that with Fantastic Beasts though. The magic makes absolutely no sense. Like, I was like, agar ye magic hota, तो फिर why did Harry use this? Like, ये कहाँ से आया?
Lots of things. I mean, lots of things.
So many things, like literally in every scene, right? Like in that ball, for example, when Ron has to wear that horrible outfit.
Correct. Why couldn't he just
Why can't he just do your thing? Exactly.
I mean, Lupin had torn clothes and all of that. Why could he just not fix it up?
Correct. No, the thing is, I don't understand how the Weasleys are poor when you have magic. How can you be poor when you can just be like, whatever,
create stuff. Yeah.
You can't increase your money, but I mean, you can just fix the house at least.
Correct.
In 6th book, Harry was actually filling the drink. Like, then how the economy works actually. How, like, anybody can do that.
So yeah, that was the first episode of Generation Gap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys thought. Also, like I mentioned, you can participate in the future episodes of Generation Gap, so stay tuned to my community tab where I'll be giving you all the updates. And yep, that's about it. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this video and if you want more videos about books and just geeky fandom culture in general. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.